What's up, boys? This is the betting recap for the fight night that just happened, Strickland versus Hernandez. And I gotta say, this was not a good night betting wise for me, yet we still made it in the green and we finished up with plus 0.84 units profit. And a lot of calls didn't go our way, but I had some pretty bad reads and some fighters really let me down on this card. So this was as bad as it gets for me, and we still make a profit inside the premium group, which just goes to show how consistent we are with these bets and how hard we are hunting for the value. In February, we went 3 from 3 on UFC events, and we ended up finishing the month with over 7 units profit, and that's only from 3 events. So a very successful February for my premium members. And if you want to stop missing out on the action, you know what to do. Click the link in the bio or in the description below and join, and you'll get all of my bets and you'll start making some serious money on the UFC. But now let's get into the recap. And this is where, unfortunately, a lot of my money and units was lost on this card, and that was from Yadir Delvali. I thought Yadir Delvali was going to come in here, and I thought he was a pretty solid grappler because that's what he's shown throughout his career. I mean, maybe that's just in terms of his offensive grappling, though, as we saw against Jordan Levitt. We hadn't really seen him grapple too much defensively, but offensively, he was taking down pretty high-level guys. And I guess that Isaac Delgarian fight, I just took too much stock into it. I know that Isaac Delgarian he did lose that fight on purpose, but man, the idea Delvali looked good, and he looked like a god in that fight, but it really goes to show how bad Isaac Delgarian did sell that fight, because Isaac Delgarian's a very high-level grappler, and we saw how bad the idea Delvali's defensive grappling was. Maybe I was underestimating Jordan Levitt in that matchup, but yeah, Jordan Levitt took him down, controlled him. The idea Delvali really didn't have much of anything on his back, didn't show good get-up ability. And in a fight that, in my opinion, was made for him to kind of run through Levitt, I thought he was going to do that. He really had a very horrible performance and looked very bad in that fight. Super disappointed in him. I thought he was going to get it done very easily. A bit of a bad read. Maybe I slightly underestimated Levitt. It is what it is. So the Beast Bet of the Week lost for the first time of the year. I had 1.5 units on that. And then I also had a 3-leg spared parlay with Kylie Judice and Jacoby Smith and Yadir Delvali to cover the spread. Jacoby Smith and Kylie Judice done their job, but Yadir Delvali sold, and that was 2 units lost on him. Now, the first fight of the night, Kylie Judice, I had 0.3 units on her to get the round 1 KO, and that bet didn't hit. That was purely a value play because we've seen Miller get KO'd in round 1 before, and I was pretty high on Kylie Judice coming into this fight. I thought she had a lot of finishing potential. And even though she won the fight pretty dominantly, I was actually very disappointed in her performance. I thought her last performance against Nicole Cagliari was a much better performance. And I think in this fight, she took a step down in competition against Juliana Miller and actually looked worse. And I thought she was one of the rare WMMA fighters that really pushes for the finish and goes to land a lot of damage. And in this fight, she was happy just point fighting against Miller, even though she was levels above her. So yeah, that bet didn't hit, and I was just disappointed in her performance as a whole. Then my next biggest bet that ended up losing was Ante Delia. I had 0.75 units on the money line and 0.35 units on the KO. We've seen Spivak get KO'd time and time again. I thought Delia was going to come in here, blitz him, and end up getting the finish in this fight. And he almost got it in round 2, but to be fair, he did not look good in this fight. I thought he was a bit hesitant at times to throw those big flurries, and Spivak was just landing the jab. It was very basic from Spivak, but Spivak did look a bit better than I anticipated. He still didn't look great, but he was just landing the jab consistently on Delia. And Delia, for not being a big heavyweight at all, his cardio didn't look good in this fight. Overall, he just disappointed me in this fight. I thought he was better than that. And Spivak was able to get a decision victory. Props to Spivak. He showed some toughness that we haven't seen from him before. But yeah, Delia, I had 1.1 units all up on him, 0.35 on the round 1 KO and 0.75 on the money line. I thought there was some good value there, but he ended up having a horrible performance, and yeah, that was not good from Delia, and maybe not the best read. Maybe I put too much stock into him, but it is what it is. Another bet that ended up missing was Zachary Reese on the money line. Now, initially, I wasn't going to target this, but as Zachary Reese's money line grew to plus 140, I thought that was the right price tag, and I ended up having that bet. And at the end of the fight, I wasn't even really very worried about the bet at all. I thought Zachary Reese won pretty clearly. Now, look, I could be biased, but I did not think that was. It was a competitive fight, of course, but I thought it was fairly clear that Zachary Reese won round 2 and definitely won round 3. I thought he was throwing more than Michel Pereira. Yeah, neither one of them was landing too much, but he was the one doing more. He was the one on the front foot, and he was the one throwing more. So I thought Reese was definitely going to get the 29-28 decision. And even when it was a split, I thought they were for sure going to give it to Reese, but they gave it to Pereira. In my opinion, a bit of a robbery, but to be honest, I wasn't watching that fight too intensely, and I definitely wasn't scoring it that accurately, so I could be wrong here. Let me know what you guys think. But yeah, I thought we kind of got robbed a bit there on the Reese money line, and that would have been a very nice underdog opportunity to cash. Then I also had a few sprinkles that ended up missing. Obviously, the Jeff Neal fight. Listen, I thought that was purely based on the odds. It was at $5.25 or plus 425, which was very high odds. And then I had a bit on Jeff Neal because we've seen Jeff Neal go out there, win decisions. And I thought there was a potential that he would have a grapple / clinch heavy game plan here and get some control against Medic. That didn't end up happening. That bet ended up losing. I also had some stock on Dan Ige in this fight. I thought if he could pressure back Costa, we've seen it in that Julian Erosa fight with Costa, and in other fights he can kind of start to crumble when you can get past his kicking range. And I thought we've seen Ige done this against when he takes a step down in competition against unranked fighters. He usually gets the job done here. But Costa looked great. Ige didn't look so good. Slightly early stoppage is what it is, but yeah, I had half a unit on Ige and 0.15 units on the KO. Costa looked way better in that fight, so probably not the best underdog play by me in that spot. But now, let's stop talking about the L's and let's start talking about the victories. Firstly, we had Alden Correa. He was one leg of the beast bet of the week, and he done his part. He looked great. Also had an extra unit on him by the spread. He covered that easily. And then I had 0.25 units on him by the KO. He didn't end up getting that done. But either way, he done his job. He dominated how I thought he would, and that was a good bet, and the price tag was good in that fight. Then next up, we had Brahmaj versus Soriano. The 0.35 units on that fight to go the distance at $2.75, as well as an extra 0.15 units on Soriano by decision. Both of them cashed. I did think this fight would not go the distance, but at the $2.75 price tag, I thought there was a lot of value on that. I would have priced it myself at around $2.20. So I had these few bets, and I thought Soriano obviously had the more decision equity, so I put that little extra bit on him, and that paid off, and which was a pretty good bet by me if I do say so myself. Then moving up the card, the next big bet that hit was Jacoby Smith, which was a pretty big play on my behalf. I had the 1.25 units on him to get the spread, as well as a little bit on the KO and a little bit on the round 1 KO. We laddered all of that, and all of that hit, which was very nice. Jacoby Smith went out there, dominated, and it went how I thought it would. I thought he would struggle to get takedowns, which we saw, but he was landing the better shots on the feet. Harrell shot a takedown. Jacoby Smith ended up top and just TKOing him with some ground and pound. Very impressive performance, and I was pretty damn happy with that bet. Now, this was a very, very good one, that Carlos Leal by decision bet, as well as that fight to go the distance at 0.15 units on the fight to go the distance and 0.1 units on Carlos Leal to win by decision at $9.50. That was an insanely high odd bet. And listen, of course I didn't think this fight would end up going the distance. I thought either one of them was going to knock each other out. But at that price tag, $5, we've seen Carlos Leal go to decisions before. I watched back the tape. He has gone to quite a few decisions, and he was willing to change his game plan and grapple as well. And we've seen Chidi, if he doesn't get the knockout, he can go to decisions, he can slow down. And yeah, this was a pure value play, but it ended up paying off, and that was a good read. And that's why it's not betting on what you think is going to happen, but always betting on the value, and it did pay off in that instance. And another example of betting on the value was in the main event. Sean Strickland, we cashed at $3.50 when he was at his highest. I had 0.25 units on that, which was great. And then I also sprinkled the KO, and I sprinkled a bit more on the KO as the odds increased. And I did have that fight to go the distance as well as kind of one of my main plays for it. That didn't end up hitting, and I did have a little bit on Strickland by decision plus strikes, which also didn't end up hitting. But either way, we got the best result possible for us. We had Strickland on the money line and a couple of KO bets as well. And yeah, it was pretty much what I thought could definitely happen. Strickland stuffed the takedowns. He was able to land the jab, and then he got a finish on Hernandez. And I did think that Hernandez was going to win this fight. Did I think he should have been that big of a favorite against Strickland? Absolutely not. I would have had him personally at around $1.50 or even $1.45, something like that, or -200, -220. That kind of price tag is what I was feeling Hernandez should have been. But I absolutely knew this was a massive step up in competition. He was fighting guys that were notoriously bad, known for their bad cardio. Guys like Delidze, Michel Pereira, Roman Kopylov. Then he goes up in there against Strickland and is a massive favorite. Plus 250 was the price that we got Strickland. I absolutely loved that play, and I was super happy to see Strickland get the KO and get us another profitable night in the premium group. So overall, a pretty bad card if I'm going to be honest, but even on our bad cards, we still make a profit. 0.84 units is pretty solid to end off the month, and we profited over 7 units in the month of February. So I'm absolutely happy with that, and I'm very looking forward to March, where we got 5 UFC events, which is going to be absolutely insane, and you guys do not want to miss that. You want to get in premium, you want to get these bets, and you want to start making money on the UFC. You know what to do. Click the links in the bio and the description, and I'll see you inside. Let's go.